Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rashita, and in this video, I want to talk about how nursing school almost took me out. If I'm being honest, there were many times, many ups and downs that I had no idea how I was going to make it through. Sometimes I didn't even want to make it through. So if that's your story, if you're somebody like me who the road has not been easy, you have had to fight, crawl, scream your way through, keep watching because this video, this might be for you. So let's take it back. 1999 is when I graduated from high school. I knew right away I am going to the Florida A&M University. There was no doubt in my mind. My oldest sister, Karen, was the oldest of 7 of us children. So my mom was, for the most part, a single mom of 7 kids. Karen, I considered to be the perfect child. I still do to this day. And because my big sister went to the Florida A&M University, I wanted to follow in her footsteps. So immediately after I graduated, I went to the Florida A&M University. When I was in high school, I took like this health course and I really enjoyed it. We would go to different nursing homes and like work as like CNAs, and you could obtain your CNA license through that program. And so that just led me on the trajectory of nursing. So I experienced my first bout of delays and setbacks in that program. So I get there, I'm doing my prerequisites. And for anybody who has gone through a BSN program, it is extremely difficult in the prerequisite portion, in my opinion. But again, you can get through it. I got through it. But for me, I can't speak for everybody. For me, it was challenging. You have like classes like you got your microbiology, your pathophysiology, organic chemistry, trigonometry. And so during my prerequisite, so that's like before you actually get into the accepted into the nursing program, we had to pass all of our prerequisite classes. So one semester I was taking organic chemistry and trigonometry amongst other classes, and I ended up getting D's in those 2 classes, and I had to retake them. So with that being said, that meant that instead of me graduating in 2003, I ended up graduating in 2004. So also throughout the program, we had what was called dosage calculations, the dreaded dosage calculations exam. So once you were in the nursing program, I believe it was every semester. It's been so long, so some things may, I may have forgotten little certain things, but I believe it was every semester you had to take this exam where basically they would ask you questions about calculating medication dosages, how to correctly um, calculate how many drips per minute that a medication would drip if you had to hang it manually, which I never had to do in my whole nursing career, but that's beside the point. But anyway, so during one of these exams, you had to get, I believe it was like a 90 or better to move on. If you fail that dosage calculations exam, you fail that class. This particular exam, there was a couple questions on the exam that I felt got marked wrong unjustly. So that meant I got called into the office of one of my clinical instructors, and she told me very bluntly and with no compassion at all, "Oh, well, you didn't pass this exam. So, oh, there's always next year." I mean, no compassion at all. And so I didn't receive that. I was like, I don't agree with this. And who do I need to go to appeal? She told me. I marched myself right over to the dean's office and asked them, what do I need to do? Because I don't agree with this. How do I go through an appeal process? And so I went through that process. I had to like write a letter, email it to, whoever the powers were that be. And while I was waiting for that appeal to go through, I had to just sit out wondering what was going to be my fate. I had no idea. It was very nerve wracking. I was like, I worked so hard. It's no way I'm giving up. It's no way I'm going to have another setback. I was already set back 1 year from my prerequisites. And I'm like, it's no way I'm doing that again. By the grace of God, I received notification that my appeal, they agreed with me and that I could move forward. And so, one little tidbit that I want to add in there is, it was very difficult for me going through that, especially going through my whole nursing career and the journey that I've gone through, and just sometimes like the lack of compassion. I must say, the majority of my instructors have been wonderful and great. But it's just sometimes when you come across those instructors who seem like they're so far removed from the nursing journey, like they act like they've never gone through anything, and just the lack of compassion. So I made it through by the grace of God. Like I said, I got through that program. After that, I ended up working in a hospital near my hometown. I did that for 6 years, and then I ended up joining the Air Force for 6.5 years. After I left the Air Force, I had my GI Bill, and God was like really in this because I had said from my undergrad, I was like, if I have to go back to school and get student loans, I'm not doing it. And so I just never knew that God heard that prayer. And I had no idea that I would one day go into the Air Force, and that would be the avenue that my school would be paid for. So he was all weaved in my story. So in 2018, I decided, you know what? I'm going to go get my master's. And a matter of fact, it wasn't just me that decided. I was working at a job, and one of the young ladies who worked there, now mind you, she was in a whole different department. I rarely talked to her. One day she came up to me and another coworker, and she was like, she had a degree plan for the family nurse practitioner program. And she was like, I think we should do this. And it was just so random, but it was so God. When she did that, I was like, the light bulbs went off. And I was like, I knew I wanted to go back to school, but I didn't know in what. I really didn't know what that was going to look like. And it was just like God sent somebody to just place this whole path in my, you know, brought this whole path up to me. And so I actually ended up moving forward. The other two young ladies did not. At least at that time, they didn't. I don't know if they eventually went back, but at that time, I went ahead and I moved forward. So while in that program, once again, I faced another setback. I faced another setback. The whole first year, I felt that it seemed to be going fairly well. I was doing well in my classes and things were moving right along. During this time of all of this, my brother ended up passing away unexpectedly. And this was, as you can imagine, a horrific time for me. So here I am. My brother passes away. And before he passed away, I ended up going through another setback in my master's program. So let's take it back. So the first semester of my second year, this was our first semester of clinical. We were learning how to do like ICD coding and all of these different types of coding. And for whatever reason, it was just like I had like this mental block. I knew it wasn't anything hard, but for some reason, it was just like all the coding and it was just seeming so confusing to me. And so at the time, I went to my professor and I was like, I even asked my classmates, like, hey, could you guys like help me out with this? Because I don't know why it's just not clicking with me. And so basically, when I was coding the patients, I ended up like I wasn't coding things correctly and I was getting my assignments marked wrong and it was just a mess. And I don't know, I feel like I was having to like some brain fog and um so what ended up happening is that because of that I ended up getting kicked out of that program. What was so devastating to me was I didn't even see it coming. I knew I was having some problems with coding and different things, but when I had talked to my instructor over that class, it was my understanding that we were going to get through it. We were going to make some corrections and it was going to be fine. And one day I was sitting at home. I got an email from the program director basically saying I was kicked out. When I tell you that hit me like a ton of bricks, it seemed hopeless. It was like basically this is it. There's no second chances. You can go into another program. And I'm like, I don't want to do another program. I want to do this. And so, unbeknownst to me, I was talking to one of my classmates about it. Mind you, this particular classmate, she lived in another state because this was a hybrid program. So, we, I live in San Antonio. The program was in El Paso. So, we only had to go on campus like 3 times the whole program. So we were spread all out different places. Everybody was not here in San Antonio. So this particular classmate, she was in another state and she needed clinical hours. And I had told her, like, hey, my preceptor is awesome. Let me talk to her, see if you can come here and get your hours with her. And that's what she did. She was able to complete several of her clinical hours with my preceptor. So fast forward, when I got kicked out of the program, I was just telling her about it. And do you know, I didn't find this out until later on. She told me that she wrote a letter on my behalf to like the leadership, our program director, whoever it was, speaking well on my behalf. And so it was like after that, they were receptive and like open to allowing me to come back. So, just to add in a little nugget here, be mindful of how you treat people, how you treat your classmates. I had no idea that my act of kindness would come back to me in such an unexpected way. And I appreciated that so much. Oh, so what happened after that is I had to um, write a letter. It was a very actually simple process. I wrote a letter, talking about why I wanted to get back in the program. And they accepted me yet again. And so first I dealt with that in my bachelor's program. Then I go through it in my master's program. But I got back in. And I did have to retake that class again, but I was grateful. I was grateful for another chance. During this time, my brother ended up passing away. My brother dealt with, as long as I can remember, um, drug addiction. And I had been praying and praying for him, that God would deliver him. And one day I received a phone call that they found my brother dead. When I tell you my whole world just crumbled down. Now, mind you, when all of this happened, I had already been kicked out of my program. I had gotten back in. I felt like I needed to take some time off, but I couldn't. I'm like, I just have to keep pushing through. And so at the time I thought, "Oh, I'm handling this well. I'm handling the death of my brother like better than I expected, or so I thought." Meanwhile, it was all this delayed grief that was building and building up. And there were some days though where even though overall I felt, "Oh, I'm handling this well," there were some days where I literally felt like my mind could have just slipped away from me if I let it. Like, I remember sitting on this very couch, and I remember one day in particular, I just felt like I could have lost my mind if I would have come into agreement with that. And so during that time, it was just so difficult. A lot of times when you're dealing with grief and things like that, you do have a lot of brain fog. And I'm trying to get through even some of the simplest assignments. It just seemed like it took everything in me to just get through. I wanted to give up, but God would not allow me to. On top of all of this, we had to do a pediatric rotation. So, pediatrics, for those of you guys, if you're watching, you're not nursing, that is with children. So, you have to get so many hours in various specialties. So, we had to get so many hours working with children, women's health, the elderly, and the adult population. So, for pediatrics, I could not find anybody here to get my hours with. So, I had to go home. I went home to my hometown and I did my pediatric clinicals with a site there. And it was horrific. It was really horrific. The way that I was treated there, I'm not here to throw anybody under the bus. So I'm not naming anybody, but it was a very difficult time. I went there just months after my brother had passed. And, I just wanted a little grace. I just wanted a little compassion. And I just felt like it was a horrible experience. It was horrible, but I got through. And there were days when I was there, I would call my sister and be like, I just can't do this. I want to walk out. Like, I can't stand being treated like this, talked to like this, condescending, being condescended. I don't even know if that's a word, but you know, feeling like just less than. I hated it. It was just to get through each and every day was truly a struggle, but God kept me. So, through all the setbacks, the hurdles, the death of my brother, oh, God, oh, God really kept me. And I'm so grateful because I couldn't have done it without him. And so I graduated May 2022. And so after my graduation, I'm excited. I'm like, okay, the next thing up is my board exam. So, for those of you who don't know, after you finish your nurse practitioner program, you have to pass a board certification exam. And so I go, I was studying, I spent hundreds of dollars on this board exam review course that would guarantee pretty much your success. So I was like, oh, I've got this in the bank. After when I graduated from my BSN program at FAMU, when I took my RN exam to get my nursing license. I passed that on the first time. So I had no doubt when it came to this nurse practitioner program that, oh, I'm going to just go in there. I'm going to pass. Now, mind you, of course, I was, nervous when there's so much on at stake and there's such a big exam. I mean, I didn't just go in with no, reservations or just, I was nervous, but I felt like I passed, my RN exam the first time. I'm going to get through this. And so I go in and I was so nervous. Like the first time I took the exam, I was so nervous. I don't ever recall ever being that nervous for any exam ever. Go in and took the exam. I was just like, what is this? Like it seemed like everything I had studied, like nothing was on there. So anyway, you immediately get your results. And it said that I had failed. I was just like, wow. So I was hurt, but I said, you know what? I'm going to keep on moving. I'm going to keep on pressing. I don't remember how long after that I retested, but you have to wait a certain amount of time. And I can't remember how long that time was, but it was at least several months, I would say. I go back, take the exam again. Yet again, fail. And for any of you guys out there that have failed any type of exam and you see clear as day where it just says on the paperwork fail, I mean, just the visual of that is so devastating. It's just like it just does something to you. Now, mind you, after the second exam, I had only missed it by 6 points. So I had done better. Like each time I progressively got better. So I actually had hope because I was like, oh, I barely missed it for sure. This third time, I'm going to do it this time. I was like, I actually felt good. I felt, confident that I was getting better each time. I'm going to do it. Now, before I tested the third time, I went to Phoenix and I flew Southwest. So, with Southwest, you don't have assigned seats. Well, now they changed it or they're about to change it. But at that time, you just get on the plane and you sit wherever. Now, I was flying from Texas. My niece was flying from Florida. So she wasn't on that flight with me. We were meeting in Phoenix. So I just get on the plane. I find the first open seat and I sit there. Now, generally, when I get on flights, I'm usually quiet. I'm to myself. I don't generally like spark up conversations with people. I'm just kind of to myself, listening to my music or whatever I'm doing on my phone. I went and pulled out my study material for my board exam. Now, let me backtrack because for some reason, well, some reason is God, I just felt that I needed to pray and ask God, like, God, on this trip, like whoever I'm meant to meet, let me meet whoever I'm meant to meet on this trip. And I was praying that like during that time, like anywhere I would go, I would just pray that whoever I ran into, that it would be a divine meeting. And God answered that prayer because let me tell y'all this. What are you wouldn't even believe, like it doesn't even sound real, but this is how real God is. Like I said, I go sit down, sit at a random spot. I opened up my study material because I was studying again for the third time for my board exam. Okay. As I pull out my study material, the guy to the left of me, he sparks up a conversation and he says, oh, are you a nurse? Because he saw my study material. And I said, yes. So we just started talking and come to find out he was active duty Air Force, which I was telling him I'm a veteran and I used to be in the Air Force. He also proceeded to tell me that he was a nurse practitioner. And I was like, oh, well, that's why I'm studying for my boards. And he was giving me some really good advice on entrepreneurship and some things I can get into because that's truly what I have a desire for in the future, to go into an entrepreneurship lane. And so it was just divine how he was just giving me these tips and just advice. And one thing that stood out to me the most is that he proceeded to tell me that he said he had a friend of his who had taken his board exam 4 times, and he passed on the fourth time. Now, mind you, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh no, I'm the next time I take it, that third time, that is it. That's not going to be me. But you know, but God planted that seed, because I would have never imagined that not only would I have taken that exam 4 times, but it would have been the fifth time that I had to take that exam before I passed. I would have never imagined, because I had never heard anybody talk about failing multiple times. Everybody talks about, oh, I passed, but where are the people like me who have had to retest? And so that was very important for me to make this video, because I want people to know, like, you are not alone. There are people who have had to retest. And one thing that I took from that guy who was sitting on me next to that plane is he told me, I don't care how many times you have to test. He said, you keep testing, you keep testing. And I did. And I refused to give up. I said, I don't care how many times I have to take this test. I have come too far. And so, in the process of this 5 times of testing, mind you, I started my doctorate program 3 months after graduation. So I never thought that I would be starting my doctorate and still having to keep restudying for this exam while also in that program. I thought once I graduate with my master's, I'm going to take this test, I'm going to pass, check that box, and I'm going to move on. So you can only imagine, like, the frustration of having to keep going back, keep restudying for this exam. And just studying in itself was very daunting. It was just very daunting. And I kept feeling like every time I would go to the exam, there was only one exam, and that was the second time I tested, where I felt like what I studied reflected the exam. But the other times I was just like, am I being pranked? Where is this information coming from? I was just like, God, why is this not reflecting what I know? I feel like I know so much. But some of the things I'm like, I've never even seen this before. It was just like, I didn't know what was going on. So, get into the doctorate program. Yet again, um, for the most part, things were going smooth. Just like with my master's, I felt like I started out strong. I felt like, okay, finally, I thought, like, okay, I think this is going to be the time. This is going to be the program that I'm just going to go through. My classmates were really awesome. We were small. I think it was 5 of us. And we were such a great team. I love my classmates. And so we helped each other. We encouraged each other. We motivated each other. We got each other through some really hard things. And so get through it. Get through the first year. Get through the first year. I said, okay. So basically, your doctorate program, the whole point of it is to do a process improvement or a quality improvement project. I told you guys that I had a horrific time at my pediatric rotation, but for the other rotations, I did my hours at another location, which was amazing. It was a wonderful group of that worked there. I worked with a nurse practitioner and a doctor there, and all the staff was really great. We had really great rapport. It was a very, very positive experience there. So once I got into my doctorate program and I knew that I needed a site to do my doctoral project, it was a no-brainer. I'm going to go back to that site. And so, okay, we got all the paperwork done. I was going to start my project there. There you go. So I go back to the clinical site where I had a very positive experience. Now, before you implement your process improvement project, you have to do what's called a proposal. So basically, your proposal is telling your instructors, your professors, these are the things that need improvement. This through evidence-based research, these are the interventions that I'm going to implement at this particular location in order to meet whatever goal that I've set out. You are just taking a process and you're improving it, doing evidence based research. And we use what is called the GTO, which is a 10-step framework, in order to complete this project. And so it is a lot that goes into it. It is very detailed. It's a lot. And so I had completed my proposal. And so what happened is before I could move on, at the end of the semester, I had to present my proposal. Now, one thing that I did not mention is that being that our class, we started with only 5 of us, but I was the only one that was full time. So I happened, just because I was full time, my classmates were part time. I got to this point faster than they did. So I was actually the only one in my class. Now, mind you, all of us have different projects. So it's not like we're working on the same project. Everybody had their own respective project, but I never in my life have been the only one in a class by myself. I didn't have my classmates to lean on. I didn't have, we didn't have each other to ask. Well, I didn't have them to ask questions because we really helped each other and fed off of each other. And even though we had different projects, there were still things that it would have been so beneficial for me to have them. So that was another thing that I was dealing with, being in like the most, strenuous program. It's so tedious and doing all of these things. And I didn't have, because sometimes even with my classmates, we might tell each other, hey, don't forget we have this assignment due, or, because some things it's just easy to get missed. But I just didn't have like that support that I felt I needed. And I've always had through my whole educational journey. So that was very difficult. And so basically, when we get to this proposal, me and 2 of my instructors, and I thought that I was doing good. I was excited to present this proposal because I had worked so hard on it. And so here I am all happy and going through my PowerPoint presentation. And do you know that at the end of my proposal presentation, I got hit with, oh, we don't think you're ready to move forward. We think you need a little bit more time to work on this. When I tell you, it's like when I say my heart dropped, it's, if you've ever like the rug just pulled from under you, I was so caught off guard. That was the thing about it, because up until that point, I was not told that you may not be ready. It wasn't clearly stated to me that there may be some delay. You might need a little extension or whatever. So I felt that that was a disservice to me, because I shouldn't have found out at that moment that you're not ready to move forward. That's something that should have been told to me way before this point. When I tell you, I literally just broke down crying. And I wasn't expecting that. I definitely did not want to like cry on this Zoom meeting, but when I tell you I was devastated, because for once I thought, finally, I'm going to make, this was the semester before I was to graduate. Okay. So that gives you a little more context too. I'm like, I made it this far. I'm finally going to get through a program with no delays. I was so happy. I was so excited. And so I was devastated. On top of this, it was like the grief, everything that I was dealing with, those delayed emotions of my brother's death. Like I was feeling all of that. It was like the weight of all the delays, all the setbacks, everything was just flooding in. And So what happened is my instructors told me, like, you're not failing the class. We're gonna give you an extension. But at that point, I felt like I don't even know how to fix this proposal. I don't even know at this point, how do I make it better? Because I don't even know really what's so wrong with it. I was literally confused. So they gave me a set time to like work on it, but I just didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know what to do. And so, sometimes when you go through something so devastating, you just kind of freeze. I went into like this freeze mode to where I just didn't do anything. And I just assumed they gave me a set time to complete it. But in my mind, for whatever reason, I thought, oh, I can have an extra, even more time. I'm not ready. I can extend it even more and have a break. And yet again, one day I got an email, and it was basically telling me I had been kicked out of the program because I didn't complete the proposal in the allotted time. I could not believe that this was happening again. I couldn't believe that it was happening again. Oh my gosh, Lord help me. And I'm so grateful because during this time, one of the pastors at my church, she was in a PhD program. She's an educator. And, she would really talk me off the ledge. She would pray for me, um, and encourage me. And I appreciate her so much. Shout out to Pastor Denisha, Dr. Denisha, excuse me. And God, oh, I needed that because I knew that she could understand some of the issues that I was going through, being that she was in a doctorate program herself, even though they were different, but there was things that she could relate to me, and I needed that. And my hope is that this video, that I can be that for somebody else, that I can encourage somebody, that I can inspire somebody to not give up, and they can say, oh my gosh, this girl has been through what and back. And, even though I wanted to give up, when this happened to me in this doctorate program, I was devastated because not only did I have this setback, but I was telling you guys I had my GI Bill. So it paid for my whole master's program. It was going to pay for my whole doctorate program. But because I had this setback, I ran out of, you only get so many months allotted time. It ran out. So my last 2 semesters, I didn't have the GI Bill, you know, anymore. So I had to find a way and take out loans my last 2 semesters. And that's something I never wanted to do. So that was another layer to it. And I was just utterly devastated. And so, through it all, God is so good because he has a plan for everything. He says in his word that all things work together for the good of those who love him and who are called according to his purpose. And do you know that when I got kicked out of the program, I couldn't restart. I forgot like some of the details and stuff. I don't remember. It's just so much that has happened, and certain things. It's just I think I just kind of blocked out certain things, but there was an extended amount of time. So what I wanted to say here is there was an extended period of time that I had off. And I fought it tooth and nail. I didn't want to break. I wanted to keep going, but God knew what was best. Having that time off between when I got kicked out of the program and was able to restart, I didn't realize how much I needed that. It gave me time to like really heal from the death of my brother, to process those feelings and emotions. And it seemed at the time that I'm being punished, but God was really being kind to me. And so when I was able to restart the program my last semester, I felt like I had a newfound strength because I had that much needed time off. I had to go through an appeal process, and that included I had to go on campus. I had to meet with a bunch of faculty and tell them what happened and tell them my story and all of that. And I really tried not to throw, like even now, I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus. So I'm not saying any names or anything, but this is my story and I just have to tell it. But it just hurt me so bad because I just felt like that things could have been handled a better way, and I could have been better informed, and I could have been better prepared. But being that it was just um so abrupt that, oh, you're kicked out, I went into this. I was so depressed. I was already dealing with depression, but when I tell you, like, there would be times when I would just ask God, like, could you just take me? I can't, like, how much can I take? How many setbacks do I have to go through? I'm just trying to go to school. It's like I don't understand why am I, facing all of this? I'm just trying to better myself. It's always been um an aspiration of mine to inspire others, and it means so much to me, like for my nieces and my nephews and those that are coming behind me. I've always wanted to be a good role model. I've always wanted to push through for them. And it's like I faced so much warfare, so much backlash. But now being on the other side, I see, because there's people in my family that have come behind me. There's people who have told me, like, I've inspired them. And so I couldn't give up, but I wanted to. And I wanted God to take me out of here. I really did. I was just like, people can say, they look at the accomplishments and they say, well, what does she have to be depressed about? She's got this and she's got that. And people don't understand what it takes to get here. Like I said, some people's journeys, it just seems like it's so smooth, but mine was not that. Mine was, I had to fight tooth and nail. I had to have resilience from a place I didn't even know I had. I had to get some grit. I had to, like, when I wanted to give up, I had to fight literally every single day to keep going. And I'm so glad I did, because it was a point where I actually was like, you know what? I told myself, if I just give up, like after the proposal went haywire, I was like, I would have felt justified. Like, you know what, Sheeta, you did everything you could. You can tap out. It really crossed my mind. It just seemed impossible. I had to completely go to a totally different site. I had to change my project completely. I had worked so hard on the previous proposal. Basically, the whole up until that point, all the data I was collecting, the literature research, a lot of our assignments were based upon what we were going to do our proposal and then our project on. So I'm like, all this work that I've done, and it's just going to go to waste. And then I have to go to a completely different clinical site. I have to start from scratch. It literally seemed impossible. But God, it's nothing but the grace of God. I will say this, as a Christian woman, you can have all the money in the world, you can have all the resources you want, but if you don't have God and you don't have a faith to stand on in Him, you don't have anything. Because I don't care what you have. If you don't have Christ as your firm foundation, you will fail and you will fall. And even though I fell, God gave me the strength to get back up. And let me tell you, right before I graduated May 2025 with my doctorate degree. And so all that to say, we did the project. I did the project with the help of, my mentor, and just we got her done. We got her done. And when I tell you, like, even to this day, it just seems so unreal. It seems so unbelievable. Like, I'm like, I did it. It's just when you've gone through so much and you get to that finish line, it is such an amazing feeling. But so I graduated May 2025. In January 2025, I went to go take my board exam for the 5th time. Now, this time I don't know if it was the day before or a few days before, it was just right before, it might have been the next day actually, I was going to take my exam. So Dr. Denisha, who I referenced earlier, her husband, Pastor Davon, they're elders at our church, and I asked him to pray for me before I took that exam. And so he started praying for me, and then his wife came to accompany him. And I'll insert what he told me. And it just, wow, it was so powerful.
And so I speak now that the success of heaven is on her. I thank you that when she goes to take this test, she will see nothing but success. I even speak that the answers will leap off the page and enter her eyes. And I thank you, Father, that there will be no mistake about what she's supposed to do next. And so I come against worry. I come against second guessing. I come against doubt. And I speak the only thing that's left is success and peace. And we thank you for it now. And this will be just yet another step to what you called her to. And so I speak now to the boldness and the confidence that rests inside of her. Come forward, step up, take your place. And I thank you, Father. Haya. I thank you that every naysayer, every person that doubted, they will be shut in their mouths. And I thank you, hallelujah, that even the next phase of leadership that she will work with and she will work in will receive her with open arms. And so we even break covenant with past seasons of hurt and past seasons of lack and past seasons of being overlooked. And we speak now, Father, that the only thing that will be left is a forward look into what you called it to. Let her believe again. I speak belief now. I press in belief. I speak that she will believe, and not just believe, but she will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. That's my prayer. And I thank you for it in Jesus' mighty name. It's not the test. The Father says it's not the test on paper that you have to pass, but He says it's the test of the trials of life that He is showing you you've already overcome. Yes, in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
What? I went and I took that exam and I passed. And that's why I was saying you got to have that. You got to have your church, a good church family where you can have that support. People that know how to pray, to get a prayer through, who can cover you and stand with you when you don't feel like you have the strength. First of all, you need God, of course, but you need that support. Without God, we're nothing. Without God, there is absolutely no way I could have got through. And that's why I said, I have to come and share my testimony, because I have to give God glory. And I just want to encourage those, whoever comes across this video, I just want to encourage you. Don't give up. You can't give up. There are people that are coming behind you that need you, that you are going to, a lot of us are pioneers in our families. A lot of us are the Josephs in our family that we have to go so we can help pull those in our family and others out. And so if you give up, there's no hope for them. Well, there's always hope, but I mean, if you give up and you're the one that they're looking up to, and then you decide I'm going to throw in the towel, then they're going to say, well, she didn't do it, he didn't do it. Well, I know I can't do it. So I just want this to encourage you. I know what it feels like. Trust me. I know the pain. I know the hurt. I know just the repeated setbacks, the repeated failures, the repeated no, no, no. One thing that I wanted to add, that I wanted to mention, is that the last time I took my exam, actually the fourth and fifth time, I didn't even go and check my email to see what the results were. Like, it's so devastating. Like, when you keep opening up this email and you see fail, it really does something to you. And so the fourth time, I didn't even check it. I was like, listen, if I pass, I know they're going to email me. They're going to send me something in the mail. I was like, I refuse to look at it. So the fifth time, after Pastor Davon prayed for me, and I took the exam, you know what? I didn't feel confident either. Like, when I went and took the exam, I was like, it was again one of those things where I'm like, what is this on this test? I did not feel confident. So that's another point that I want to encourage you. If you find yourself at the exam, don't you give up. Like, I found myself during the exam when I felt like, once again, where are they getting these questions from? I wanted to tap out and just say, you know what? Here we go again. You know what? I just can't. But I told myself, stay in the game, keep your head in the game. And I want to encourage you, don't ever give up. To that last question, you give it all you got. Give it your best guess. If you don't know, just have faith, ask God to help you, to lead you to the right answer. And so let me tell y'all what happened. After I took the exam, like I said, I was afraid to check my email. I was afraid to check anything. So I was like, let me go on the website where I go to register for the exam. I was trying to see if I passed without actually checking like the official way. I was trying to go through the back way to kind of ease the blow if I failed. So basically I had went on the website of the board exam that I took, and I tried to register again or do something on the website. I could be getting, like I said, little details mixed up, but basically, I just was trying to see if it would let me re sign up for the exam. And it was saying, like, you can't re sign up because this person is already certified or something like that. So I called my friend Avis. I'm like, Avis, I don't know, but I think I might have passed the exam. So she's like, girl, like she want me to just go ahead and check it. And I'm like, I don't have the strength. I can't do it. So eventually, like I feel like I was on the phone, like basically I was like almost hyperventilating. I was so scared. So finally I go ahead and check my email. I just busted out crying. Avis was like, what? So I was like, I passed. Oh my gosh. Like, you can just imagine like the weight that lifted off of me. So I was just elated. You hear me? Elated. So after that, I was able to apply for my NP license. So I was so excited about it. I filled out all the necessary paperwork, I turned everything in, only for the Board of Nursing to contact me and say, well, you graduated in 2022 as a nurse practitioner, but since you didn't pass your board certification exam until 2025, too much time has lapsed. So now you're going to need to do an additional 400 training hours with a nurse practitioner. You can just imagine how I felt at this point. Like, you have got to be kidding me. It's like at every milestone, here I go getting another roadblock and another setback. I was just done. I was absolutely done, frustrated, all of the things. Finally, it took me a while to find a clinic that I can go to and that I can get those hours. And so I finally found a clinic. I had a wonderful experience. I worked with a wonderful nurse practitioner. And so I completed those hours. And I am so happy to announce that as of January 22, January 22, 2026, I was issued my official nurse practitioner license. So I am just, when I just look back over my journey and my story, I just pray that you find hope. I pray that you are encouraged. I pray that you see everything that I went through and that it'll encourage you to keep going. Don't give up. You can do it. I know there's times when you feel like I cannot do it. If I fail another exam, if I go through another setback, if I have to retake this class again. But I will say this, if you know that God has called you to whatever that thing is, it doesn't have to be nursing, it could be anything. Don't give up, because God will get you through it. And then when you get to the other side of it all, it's like you'll have such a better appreciation for what you went through. Because, I was telling my sister the other day, I realized like going through all of this, it built something in me. Now, I didn't want to have to get it this way, but now being on the other side, it's like I can see the beauty of it all. It was so painful going through it. I hated going through it. I wish I could have went another way. But that's the journey that God had for me. So appreciate your journey. as hard as it may be, you may not see the beauty in it, and you may never see it until we get to the other side. But just know that God definitely gives us beauty for ashes. All the hurt and the heartache and the pain and the suffering, it is not going noticed. God is going to reward us. It may not be on this side, but God sees and he knows all, and he's with us, and he will not leave you. And so don't give up. But I definitely pray that this encouraged you, that it blessed you. And thank you so much for watching. Like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe I did it. I can't believe it. Oh my God. Like, for real.
I'm Dr. Sonia Harden, Dean of the School of Nursing. I'm proud to present our graduates from the School of Nursing who've just received either a Doctor of Nursing Practice, their Graduate Nurse Practitioner Certificate in Psychiatric Mental Health Nursing, or a Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree. Thank you.
Dr. Rashida Cannon.